me, the bootcamp was more like an opportunity where I was able to connect with various leaders in agribusiness sector. It was also an opportunity to learn about various ideas from people internationally. They believe that experience is something that's very important in any career people want to. And international trips like this provides us an opportunity where they get to know about the culture and experience of people from various countries. Thanks, everyone. My name is Chalki Sharma, and I'm from Sher Kashmir University of Agriculture and Technology of Dublin. I really enjoyed this boot camp. There were so many things to learn, great sightseeing and all. I believe that this is one of the major highlights of my career, and it is also a very good start for me as well, because this has not only given me a big opportunity, but I've actually explored myself in a lot of different fields. So firstly, the Singapore experience is good, coming from a student background. Here, everything from the customs to the scientists there, it helped us in a lot many ways. From from the sessions to the personal level, also we asked them about our degrees and what we do. It was a great opportunity. It is a great resort. I have to say it. It is too great from the facilities, from the cleaning system to the beds and everything else. From the food itself, it was too good. We actually went for sightseeing. Like the first half we started, we went for learning courses, and then we went for sightseeing. Personally, for me, it was the most exciting moment was when we were at the conference, when I was talking to people, explaining them about my poster. It was a great opportunity for me. Yes, I will personally very much recommend for any and every, be it undergraduate or postgraduate whatsoever. I would really recommend this for these people.
I'm currently in agriculture BSc 4th year, a lovely professional university. Actually, I've come across Edorer through my college HOD, and I was really excited to be part of it. Because being an agriculture BSc student that took below 25 years, it is an opportunity to travel across the world, that to Singapore and Malaysia, which are actually a good tourist places. And actually it's Edorer's, it's a great mindset that both education and traveling are mixed together. So it's actually a great experience. With a great CV, we can actually get a great CV. And I recommend everyone to actually join Edorer.
Everyone. Okay, so Dr. Valasia has already joined. Welcome.
Yes, I have.
Okay, wonderful. Yes, looking forward to seeing your video. Meanwhile, welcome everyone to this session. This is really a special session. Of course, we're very excited to have the speaker today, and I'm sure this is going to be a lot of learning. And of course, as always, a great experience for every participant. Dr. Valasia, is there any issue in you to enable your video?
I share my PowerPoint. Can I share it?
But we can't still see you. Are you going to be enabling your video?
It doesn't allow me. It says you cannot start video because the host has stopped it. So I don't know if it's the video or my camera. It doesn't open. It doesn't allow me to open my camera. So
okay, let me see. Same issue. As well. Okay. Okay.
Okay. Oh, okay. I see.
Wonderful.
I see. Okay.
Greetings.
So nice to see you.
Absolutely. Same here. We are very excited about this session. So, first of all, how was the day? And how is it? You're in Greece currently?
Well, cheers to everybody from Greece. It's a little bit chilly. It's winter time here.
Okay.
Mediterranean ecosystems. So nonetheless, it's sunny. It's really sunny and beautiful.
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
photo that I used as my background is Mount Olympus, one of the must-see areas and visit if you happen to be at the northern part of Greece.
Yes, yes. I've spent a couple of days in Greece and
Okay,
really, really awesome. Well, like, of course, the whole Mediterranean belt. I mean,
beautiful.
it's pretty much awesome. Um, okay, cool. So without taking much time, so let me quickly start the session officially. So hi everyone, this is Saurabh Gupta. I'm the CEO of Edorer, and you are welcome to this session to Edorer's Masterclass. Today's topic is going to be nature-based solutions as a means for sustainable agriculture, and we have Dr. Valasia Iakovoglou. It's difficult for me to pronounce. Can you help me with that?
Too Greekish, too Greekish. I know.
How do you pronounce this?
I know.
How do you pronounce your name?
Yes, indeed. Iakovoglou. Iakovoglou.
Okay, cool. So Dr. Iakovoglou,
Iakovoglou.
and we're very happy to have her here. Everybody knows what's the format of this masterclass. We're going to have a 60-minute session where we're going to have a session with Dr. Iakovoglou, and then we're going to have a 30 minutes Q&A, how you can ask questions. I'm sure today chat is enabled. You can ask questions in the chat, and also you can ask your questions in the Q&A. You can also raise your hands when we begin the Q&A, and you can ask your question in person by enabling your audio and your video. Okay, so let me quickly introduce Dr. Valasia. That's easy for me. Okay, let me quickly share the screen, and then the floor will be yours. So here she is. Very happy to have you here. So Dr. Valasia Iakovoglou is a distinct graduate of Iowa State University, US. She has more than 25 years of national, international research and teaching experience as an ecophysiologist, a silviculture expert in seeding production and restoration, conservation of ecosystems, with emphasis on biodiversity under the challenges of climate change. Essentially, she is an ecology leader. She has received numerous scholarships, awards, and recognitions. She's an editor of more than 10 international journals and a reviewer in more than 15, as well as a reviewer at the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. So it's good to have somebody who talks about this. She has more than 100 publications to her name, and more than 20 international projects. She's active in many scientific societies, such as the Mediterranean Experts on Climate and Environmental Change, MEDECC, and the International Network of Bioresource Management, INBM. She holds leading positions currently, such as Director of Ecotourism Sector of the UNESCO Chair Connect, Executive Board of Directors of Climate Smart Agriculture Youth Network Global in Africa, which is so good because she's going to be talking to a lot of youth today in this masterclass. Of course, we have a lot of professors and teachers also who are in the audience, but essentially it's students. She has also been the General Secretary of associations such as the Association of Inter-Balkan Women's Cooperation Societies of UNESCO Center for Women and Peace in the Balkan countries. Those who don't really know what are Balkan countries, do some Google. International Council of World Tourism Forum Institute, and country chair of Greece for the G100 women of the world, serving as for farming and agritourism. So very happy to have you here. We're very excited to have this session. So we'll begin this session officially. So do you, can you share your screen? Do you have the access?
It seems sometimes I can't hear you very well, but I hope this is not going to be a problem with the connection. So I can share.
I am not on a stable internet today, but are you able to share your screen? Do you want to check?
Yes, I'm gonna try share my screen. So please inform me if there's no alteration of the slides, if that's the case.
No, everything is good.
Because everything is good so far. Let me see. So please let me know if there's any animation. Is there an animation?
No, we just see your slides. You haven't started presenting.
Just the slides? Do you
The
see
slides
any
and also
changes?
the sidebar with all the slides and the main slide.
Oh, okay, then it doesn't do the animation. So let me stop sharing and hopefully we'll get the right window to document.
You can present your presentation. I'm sure it'll pick up.
Yeah, hopefully it's gonna have the share and have the movement also. So this is the main point. So do you see my screen now?
Yes, yes, absolutely. Now we can see the presentation. Only the
Does
main
it
slide.
show is it full screen with the
Yes, it's full
movement?
screen. It's full screen. Yes, you're all good.
Okay, okay, that's what we want. Okay, good, good. So hopefully we'll see the animation. Thank you very much for having me. It's a really great pleasure being part of this effort and have this international audience presenting, nature-based solutions as means for sustainable agriculture. So you do see the photos, right?
Yes,
Can you please give me?
yes, we do.
Okay, good. So it's good to have, this very nice introduction, but sometimes a little bit the photos help in order to understand what is behind. So yes, I'm the director of ecotourism sector of the UNESCO Chair Connect. This is a great deal for me because ecotourism is also another big topic that I'm highly involved in international projects. And as you can see here, it's an international team effort of scientists all over the world that they are doing a great job regarding those sustainable ecosystems. Also part of the Mediterranean experts of climate change. I was really happy to be invited by a meeting that it took part in Venice in 2019, right shortly before COVID. So we were called there in order to be able to put the next goals for 2030, regarding our ecosystems and how this can be actually implemented based on projects. And it was a great effort of all those scientists. So I was very happy being part of that. Also of the International Council of World Tourism Forum, this gives me pleasure inviting people worldwide in order to introduce and share their knowledge, something that we're doing right now here. And at that point, during that period, it was actually COVID. So we really understood the value of ecosystems and how that helped us go through this period that we were, most of us, locked in our houses, but we had the opportunity to go and visit adjacent ecosystems. Also, the Inter-Balkan Women Cooperation Society, that is a branch of UNESCO, a group of really very intelligent, smart women that they're trying to do their best. And one of the sectors that I'm involved is the education sector. And right there, you can see it was a great effort that we did in order to inform what we're pretty much like what we're doing right here, the Balkan countries. So we had more than 10 Balkan to Greece and informing children from 10 to 14 years old that they were able to communicate through English. So they were introduced to all those issues related to our ecosystems, how to do proper transplanting, how is that related with the preservation of biodiversity, and all those really amazing efforts. Of course, the Board of Directors of Global Climate Smart Agriculture Youth Networking, it was initiated in Cameroon. I'm really happy to be part of this and share my knowledge with the audience in Africa, share some of the experiments that we are running here and how with simple ways can actually increase the transplanting success while saving water, but also, any other kind of topics that they are related with the biodiversity. Women of the World, yes, that's another one that I'm really happy to be the representative of Greece and having the country chair for farming and agritourism. Again, this is a worldwide effort, and it's really nice to get this opportunity because it gives me pleasure to share all that knowledge. And I'm really happy that we're doing it right now, and we're going to have a very interesting topic. So let's start and get into the point. And as an overview, I'm going to start a little bit giving some background information. Nature-based solutions, what is that and how can that actually has been implemented so far? A case study for a project that I was also involved. The studied variables that we did at this project, what is the awareness, and of course, the take-home message that hopefully it's going to stick to our mind. So stick with me. It's going to be an hour presenting that. And let's get a little bit to the background information. Most of us are really aware of the Gulf of Mexico. Well, recently, today, actually, they had the elections in the US, right? My background has been there in the US for more than 15 years. So this, what we're looking at the picture is the Mississippi Basin. And it's an area where there's been a lot of transport of non-source pollutants or any kind of whatever has been utilized by agricultural areas in that basin. Everything has been depleted into the rivers and it ends up into the Gulf of Mexico. This is another map right here showing us with the color how much intense, specifying the sediments that they are at that area coming from the rivers, and all the sediment that is actually valuable soil for agricultural land use that we lose, well, in a way, lose, and they get into the area of the sea, the Gulf of Mexico. And this area, the Gulf of Mexico, it's creating the dead zone, as all of us well know. And the dead zone is pretty much dead. There's no fish right there, and there's a lot of algae that has been utilized due to the fertilizers, all this sedimentation that is causing this huge problem from the algae. So there we have areas of depleted oxygen in those waters, and that's a very huge problem, a problem that we don't want to have in our gulfs, in the areas that we live. So what the map right here shows us is all this beautiful agricultural area of the basin of Mississippi River that is end up at the Gulf of Mexico. And they realized that that was a really huge problem. All this extra use of fertilizers, all this area of trying to utilize and get the maximum out of it without even taking care of that land in order to preserve it for having long-term input and long-term benefits from those sites. So they realized that long time ago. And actually, what did they do? Because we have a problem. Once we realize it, we really need to look after that and see what we can really do to save our ecosystems. And this is what we've been doing for so many years. So if you Google nature-based solutions, most likely you will end up at the Wikipedia at this web. Implemented nature-based solutions long time ago. Even before I was there, they have already established those sites. So it's been almost 40 years now that they've been running this experiment, really hard work of those researchers. So I was really very happy at that area in Iowa. It's part of the Mississippi Basin. So what did they do in order to find solutions? So they were trying to create research, collaborate with universities, and Iowa State University was one of the key partners in order to conduct this research, long-term research, not just like 3 years that we do sometimes with the projects, and then we end up leaving those projects and never have a follow-up of what is going on at the experiments, but they've been running those nature-based solutions for 40 years now. So let's see what they did. They tried, the logic was to establish a buffer from a vegetative buffer from a complex of trees, as we can see, fast-growing trees right there. So creating a multi-species riparian buffer system at that site. And so they had fast growers, trees, and then there was a line for shrubs then native grasses, and then you had the agricultural crop. This buffering was preventing any kind of soil loss or filtering whatever it was coming from the fertilizers of the crops. They were filtered through the roots and through the vegetative part in order to end up in the rivers, but be much, much cleaner than it used to be before. So doing that, this is a visual of photo, an aerial photo from the whole system in order to understand what we're actually talking about. But in order to actually understand what we're talking about, we need to look a photo before, and we need to look a photo right after, almost only 5 years after the establishment of the buffer. Just the visual part is really obvious how it was before, how much land was used, it was lost into those rivers. You see the creek right here, and how much differ, at least visually, based on after the establishment of the buffer. To me, it's really amazing how this is based on just the looks, Imagine all this research and how much cleaner the water was getting into the creek. You can even see it from the photo right there. This is the ending point right now. Beautiful, beautiful. So when we're talking about nature-based solutions, basically we're talking working with and embracing nature. We're mimicking nature. And this is how nature really works. This is how riparian areas are, and they are filtering whatever is coming from the adjacent agricultural areas, and it's so much cleaner in these creeks. So they did that. What are the benefits? If you were in my class right now, this is virtual meeting. We could have this after my presentation talk, but they are huge. And by asking that, most likely you guys already have some of the benefits that we can have right there. So there you go. Just to inform you about a few: sustain and increase productivity. We have this huge area of productivity for long-term, actually, sustainability. We're not losing the soil. If we lose the soil from the agricultural areas, we actually end up into poor soils, productivity is reduced, and you know the story afterwards. So, of course, we are mitigating climate change effects. Recently, we've seen so many floods taking place. If we try to maintain those ecosystems, they are also a little bit minimizing any kind of flooding. You've seen so many fatalities lately that have taken place. Most of them, they're taking place in cities. And this is, we've destroyed all these riparian areas in our cities. In some of the places in Greece, we even hide them. We cement them, all of them. If you go to Athens, most of the rivers have been covered, and they are now roads, or in Katerini, or in Thessaloniki, or in any other areas in the world. We've seen what happened recently, just a couple of days ago in Europe. So mitigating those effects, yes, it does. Mitigating erosion and pollution by filtering all those, whatever is coming up from the agricultural areas. Undoubtedly, we increase biodiversity. We don't have only crops right here. We could have production trees. We could get all those beautiful animals that they are visiting those sites in order to eat, in order to drink water. So biodiversity in all levels, it just increases dramatically. Of course, whoever has that over there, they can increase their income, undoubtedly, just because you might have a production of the fruits. So we're talking multi-use of those areas, the wood that it can get from there, from the prey, from hunting, and so many other things. Even the aesthetic value of those areas. Some of them they're using it for as remarks to go and see and visit. So, but also at the same time, they increase the value of the land. So maybe somebody, if they want to sell the land afterwards, undoubtedly this is going to be at much higher price than it used to be before. So what did they do in order to actually convince the farmers to apply that? Because this is a cost to the farmers. I'm not going to use my land just to have this buffer thing that you think is going to help the ecosystem. No, I need something as back, getting back. I'm not going to wait for 5 years or 10 in order to get the benefits from the wood or the fruits or anything. So what did they do as the university? They actually rented the land to the farmers. So this is, we have the Bear Creek. So they gave money to the owners, and the owners accepted to give the land to do this experiment. So both of them were very happy for so many years now. And now, after so many years, the farmers, even when I was there as a student, the farmers were very happy with the final outcome. And after a point, they didn't even want the money. They just could get whatever they wanted from that area. So yes, we need sometimes to convince them at the beginning in order to see the benefits for these long-term sustainable management of those agricultural areas. And when we're talking about Iowa, we're talking about the #1 in the world production for agriculture. #1 in the corn, #1 in the soybean. Okay, let's keep going. So the benefits as a solution for as means, these nature-based solutions as means for the sustainable agriculture. This is the greatest benefit that we can see from all of that. So let's see the case study that we were involved. This is what happened in the US. We've seen it. They introduced nature-based solutions. It's working. So we're going now to a project that I was involved, and it's a case study that actually took place right here in Europe. We were just done with this project. So we were looking at the Black Sea, a Black Sea that is a closed sea. And of course, when these closed seas or the Gulfs, closed is even worse, even the Mediterranean Sea, right? Once they're polluted, unfortunately, it's difficult to depollute. Very difficult. So we really need to act and prevent before we get into the depolluting an area. So most cleaning efforts on the sea, they're along the coast, the coastal areas. None of them has been seen the problem into deeper in order to see what is going on over there. So it's one of the most environmentally degraded regions in the area. And right here, we can really see that it's a big area. We have 350 cubic kilometers of river water that they're pouring into the Black Sea, and they are actually in the sorting of the pollution levels. So the watershed that ends into the Black Sea has not been actually the focal point, despite that this is the main source for polluting those waters, as well as whatever is been dumped in the river, like the litter and so forth. So this is the project, Protect Streams for Sea. We're going to try to see and share what we've been done this, protecting streams for a clean Black Sea by reducing sediment and litter pollution with joint innovative monitoring and control tools and nature-based practices. That's what we're looking, that's what we're aiming. We're talking about 5 different countries that were involved in there. We have Romania, the Siru Lake, Agitis River from Greece, Arhavia River, that it's in Armenia, the Debit River that we have in, no, Debit River, it was in Armenia, and Arhavia was in Turkey. And of course, we had Baltada River in Moldova. So this we're all together, and when you have too many partners, it's really hard to to work it out. We're talking for 5 different countries. The system is different. The political issues are different, right? So, but we had the same aim. Stop the non-point source pollutants and litter from reaching the streams and rivers, and consequently the Black Sea, the closed sea that we're interested. Cost-effectively way to maintain a clean Black Sea that will benefit the entire region based on nature-based solutions, and how we can benefit from that. Mitigate pollutants and climate change impact. That's can be accomplished. So we have the Black Sea, but we need something that it can actually being implemented by finding a joint system in order to monitor. Greece has something different in their mind to monitor. Armenia has something different, so they had to find a system to work for all countries, and this hopefully would be the precursor for other countries to follow up based on the monitoring for those sites. So the objective was to focus on specific pollutants and litter that they come from the rivers and the watershed, that they really end up being at the Black Sea. We had this objective, the joining monitoring program on the pollutants and the litter. We had the coordination of environmental protection. We can see here at the photo the adjacent agricultural areas, and of course, joint reduction of the pollutants and the litter through the best management practices. It's something that it seems impossible, but we're just finishing with this project and it worked really nicely. So we had some pilot areas. Those actions were addressing the origins of the sediments of the non-point source pollutants of the streams and the beds. And those, could be, we had to do different kind of protocols about the slopes, about the type of vegetation, or the soil surface from different covers, because it's really very important to see how land use alterations are actually affecting the final outcome. And one of those land use alterations was, of course, agricultural areas. We had to estimate those pollutants through traditional methods. The traditional methods, we used erosion pins. For those that they don't know, there are some iron sticks. We put them in the banks of the rivers and also runoff pots. And we used other methods, the new innovative methods. Most of you have used in your research, or you have seen other research or studied other research for using the drones and how this can be monitoring, using some kind of indexes in order to actually see. These are very important tools to monitor any kind of ecosystem, not just the agriculture, but with the agriculture, the drones, the satellite images, we can actually have a holistic approach in monitoring from a greater scale of those sites. So right there, we also took soil samples along the stream banks, soil surfaces in streams. Specific protocols will have to be kept not only for Greece. Greece was the leading partner right here, but also for other countries as well. In there, we had the development of the litter traps, skimmer vessels. We gave skimmer vessels to Romania. So these are actually instruments that a means to collect all those pollutants. And this is a really nice image indicating us how dirty are our rivers, even just by tracking all those litters at the surface. Of course, we had the hydrological characteristics interconnected with the riparian areas. We characterized them, took some measurements, stream flow, discharge, a lot of measurements that they were dealing with how clean those waters were, because we needed to take measurements and help us target where, if there is a problem, Do the waters are clean? Do they continue to maintain their clarity and things like that? And we applied also models. Models is a good tool if it's not overused. So using, hydrologic models and fingerprinting method, something that is recently being used. We use this for this project. We still have some data to analyze for this regarding this part. And of course, we determine the areas that they contribute the most to the pollutants and the litter. So we call them the hotspots. It's not the whole area that is contributing pollutants, but sometimes there are specific areas where they contribute the most. If we find those hotspots and we try to monitor them and create even more intense measurements to stop those pollutants, then we've achieved even more. So we did that, create this joint monitoring system. We were very happy. As we can see here, this is kind of the idea of the fingerprinting method, going to different types, spotting the hotspots, and then from there, taking some samples, analyze them, agricultural areas adjacent maybe to the rivers in order to be able to monitor and spot lots of information, lots of area. So right now I'm going to target a little bit at the area of Greece. So we are, as you can see here, at the Mediterranean ecosystem. We are at the northern part of Greece. This is where the area of Agitis River is, close up for that. And you can see that it's a highly agricultural areas. It's the ending point of a complex of mountains. So this is a huge plain that those rivers are ending at those sites. We do have agricultural areas, but those ecosystems also have other benefits. So there are areas of where we have an increased number of birds, amphibians, a lot of reptiles. We have here the Mediterranean turtles. It's an indigenous species that you can find in our area. Many mammals. We have squirrels, otters, fish, quite a fair amount of those, and it's really important to maintain the health of those ecosystems if we want to have this increased biodiversity, including the fish. That's for our food. Looking at the complex of that basin, you can see many creeks that they're ending up at the same Agitis River with a red color. The length is 65 kilometers, and the basin goes 2,700 square kilometers. And we have Agia Varvara and Xeropotamus. This is quite Greek names. So this is the point where they all meet. And then we have from there, the Agitis River, we have the Philippines basin. You might have heard Philip was the father of Alexander the Great. So they call the area right there the Philippines Basin. And then we have quite a few characteristics that they are creating from that area, like the cave of Mara, and we have the Agitis Springs. And this is fairly speaking about ecotourism, right? So there's some areas that they were in the experimental study, but they also provide a great input for ecotouristic sites. And the Agitis Gorge right there, and the formation of the meandering of the river, as we can see here, and how that area is also interrelated with the big Strimonas River. So this is the part that they are connected actually for the plain of Philida and the Strimonas boundaries. So right there we have the photo with the map, and of course the ending point is the Strimonas Delta, where we have the Pageo. This is the area for historically for those across those sides. It's the mountain. This is the archaeological sites that they recently, you might have heard, for the tomb that they found, and they think it's the tomb of the Alexander the Great. So northern part of Greece, let's get back to our point. We do have clean waters, but we have a lot of debris. It's not just the pollutants As you can see here, a lot of algae in those rivers. Maybe you have the same problem in your area, but it's also all these debris that they are a huge problem for increasing also the phenomena for the floods. Let's get a little bit into more details about the measurements. So they did the surface erosion plot methods. We had Gerlach traps, runoff plots. We had vegetation indices. We'll get into more detail into that. Hard drawn spots. For those that they're interested for research, for students that they're interested for maybe future research, these are some really good tools to do your experiments and your studies. Calibrated hydrological models, all those were used. And this is the erosion plots that we have here for the runoff plots and the Gerlach traps. A lot of work, a lot of intensive field work. And this is good, where you have your team and everybody working together, having that final outcome, and our students are the must, and our colleagues, quite a number of colleagues that were working there to have this final outcome. A lot of collaborations. So we runoff plots right there. At that point, the National Hellenic University was the lead, with Professor James is the main professor who was leading this thing. From the photos, from this project, from the photos, you can see also the different land uses that these fields were established. Right next to the riparian areas, agricultural areas, pasture areas. And of course, we had also the vegetation indices. And this is the NDVI through the satellite images. It's a very good indication. It can be used from just the images to actually get an indication of where I have a vegetation, what kind of level is this vegetation, and it varies from values from -1 to 1. Also, we had the normalized difference water index. This is a remote sensing index that is related with the liquid of the water, where we have actually water. And this is very good because Mediterranean ecosystems, they experience many drought effects. Some others, they experience excess of water. So this is actually giving us that information, and we can use that. And it varies from -1 to 1. And we had also the normalized difference soil index. Again, it's taking values from -1 to 1. It's a very good indication. It's giving us some very good idea of where we have intense soil salinity that is also related with the production, as well as with the water regarding the agricultural areas. Very important for sustaining the growth. Now, based on that, these are the images that we have for the specific basin that we studied. On the left, right here, we can see this is how it is based on the images. On the right, we have the NDVI based on the vegetation indices from high to low levels of vegetation indexes with the red color. And of course, we have the NDWI, where we have or don't have excess of water. So high water with the blue, the darkest brownish it gets, the lower the water content. And then we have the NDSI that is dealing with the soil and the salinity, and it's having with light yellowish, greenish going to the other colors that indicating low salinity levels. So these are some hotspot areas, as we can see here, very intense, based on the images that we got from satellite images, and then we worked on that. This was an indices that were based on satellites. So when we were in the creeks, we also took cross-section surveys. It's really nice to, in order to be able to see an area, to have it different scales of measurements. So satellite images and the indices will give a very good macro indication of those ecosystems. And at the micro level, when you're on the site, it's a must to see and walk and see the differences, explore and observe those areas, and see where some of the problems might show up. So at those sites, we had to install, we had to measure the cross sections, of course, and install the erosion pins. So you can see at this basin, these are all the areas that we picked to put the erosion pins. And it's as I said, and I'm going to say it again, a lot of work, a lot of intense labor just to, based on the protocol, to insert all those pins in those sites. This is sometimes possible, sometimes it's not possible, but it has to be based on the protocol. You see those sticking out from the soil. Yes, a lot of work based on that. So the protocol that it was followed by us and by all other countries, it was 1/3, 2 rows, as you can see from the different colors. The red one was 1/3 of the stream bank, and stream bank was whatever is from the basin until the top where you see of the bank of the river. And then the yellow, 2/3 of the height of the stream bank. We'll get into some of the results. Here, we're showing you 4 of the land uses. So we had rangeland, agricultural land, sclerophyllous vegetation. Here at the Mediterranean ecosystems, we have quite a fair amount of sclerophyllous vegetation, like the Quercus crucifera, for example. This is the Latin name of an evergreen oak. And the riparian vegetation. Usually riparian vegetation, for those that they might not be aware of that, we're talking about salix. We're talking about populus species. So these are the fast growers that they can take advantage of the sun, as we can see here, that riparian areas usually have, but also the excess of water. So it's a must for the riparian area. That's why they are characterized with a different name, because one of the main things that they need is water. So just to get an idea about the rangeland, how degraded are, this is from the Agitis River, the area that we had the installation of the pins. And right there, we can see the area of the pasture area, the agricultural area. It does have a little bit of vegetation, but most of it has been cultivated until the edge. And of course, we also had the sclerophyllous vegetation, as I already told you, quite a fair amount of vegetation in those sites, the undisturbed, but also we had areas where the riparian part was really maintained. So you can see here the vegetation throughout the creek and the shade that they are creating and the normal environment that nature-based solution really offers by itself. So let's get a little bit and see what is the final outcome based on the erosion. Let's get a hint to the measurements that we actually took. So rangeland, we go and we measure those sticks that they're in the soil, and we measure how much of those there have been exposed. So if this has been covered by water, it takes some of the soil. So in this part, we lost 11.5 centimeters at the top 2/3 of the stream bank. And at the bottom, we even lost more soil. So it's 14.6 centimeters. So the stream bank went that a little bit inside. So that was all soil that it was lost from that area. Agricultural area, similar results. So we can see here at the 2/3 of the height of the stream, the 11 centimeters of soil were lost. And at the 1/3 of the stream bank, it was 10, almost 11 centimeters of the soil that it was lost. Looking at the sclerophyllous vegetation, I thought that it would really stop and prevent any kind of erosion, any kind of loss of the soil, but it didn't do much. So that was really a surprise to me. As we can see here, 2/3 of the height of the stream lost 12 centimeters. And at the base of the river, it lost almost 10 centimeters. And then we're going to the nature-based solution as presented by nature and by the riparian vegetation. And we can see a dramatic decrease at the amount of soil that has been lost at those sites. Dramatic. The agricultural areas were a little bit adjacent, but they had this buffering maintained. So we can see here the top 2/3 of the height of the bank, they lost 3.5 centimeters, and at the base only 1.8 based on the measurements that they were taking. So looking at the overall erosion of the bins, we can see that the riparian areas, that in a way it's the nature that is being created and not disturbed at those sites, they have the least loss of the soil at those areas. Very important. So nature-based solutions, as reflected by the riparian sites, had better results than the other sites based on the overall loss of the soil via the erosion, via every type of flooding. And here in Greece, not all rivers have water throughout the year. We have ephemeral flooding of the water, ephemeral rivers, that they might have water once a year. It might have water two, I don't know, but they might flood once every 50 years or once every 100 years. So we need to be aware of that if we want to think of long-term sustainable management. Here we also can see, again, based on additional measurements that we took in 2022, 2023, and the overall sum, unfortunately, agricultural land tops up everything. It has the higher amount of the soil that is lost into the streams, unfortunately, followed up by the pastures. This is the grasslands and things like that. So this is really very important to me. This is what has been reflected by nature-based solutions. And looking now at the fingerprinting sample, this is the samples that we took. So in order to target the areas that they are the hotspots for polluting all those ecosystems and whatever is getting into the water. So we had that for different land use alterations, similarly as the erosion pins that we took, a huge area, 2,390 square kilometers we had to cover in order to find those plots based on forested areas, sclerophyllus, agricultural areas, pastures, and things like that, to take those measurements from the soil and analyze them. Hotspots through drones. Drones makes our lives easier. We can go through the images, see, spot, and then go and establish. So before we go and find our samples and our sites, we did flew our drones in order to see what is going on. And based on the sensors that we can put at the drones, we can take so much information and such good information to really study those sites. Now, this was also part of the deliverable, the leader traps and the skimmer vessels. This is I thought it was really very easy. This can be implemented in any kind of river. And I'm wondering, why don't they do that? I mean, you don't get interfered with the flow of the river. You putting this small boundary, it does require some effort to establish that. But then everything is so much better and nicer just to keep all this litter away from the rivers and clean that up. Now, the skimmer vessel, we established it at a dam in Romania. So this one is traveling throughout this water reservoir, and it's cleaning that area, huge area. So they were very happy when it was established, and we're still working on those results. In Greece, we established that in an area where it was actually in the town of Thermi, an area that it takes its name by the high quantity of waters. So we established it there. So at the same time, you can see on the left of the photo some chairs where they go and they drink their coffee and things like that. It was it's in an urban setting, but at the same time adjacent to agricultural areas, because this one continued, and after that we had the agricultural areas. We used it here. We measured. We took all the debris that they were coming. A lot of them. You can see they were plastic. We will separate them, weight them, take the measurements, and really the input, you see 10 kilograms here of debris, plastic debris. They were doing a great job. We were there establishing, informing people about this project, the team right there. And it's still working, it's still running. The same thing happened in all other countries, Turkey, Greece, Romania, Armenia, and some publications are really coming up from this really great effort. The main aim is, of course, clean waters, and we can have that for all of our ecosystems. We need actually to reach out globally for long-term sustainable management and for long-term sustainable agricultural management. If we want to keep our soils and have soil as a mean to grow our products. So it's very important to keep that in mind. So what's next? Is there something next? I don't know. What am I doing here? I don't know. I am doing something here. Awareness. It's very important what we're doing right now. It's very important what we are doing in other kind of efforts. It's very important to transfer all this knowledge, all this research out for you, the students, and really inform you about the importance and that we do have tools to work in favor for the environment. We have the knowledge, we have the means, and actually we can do it. We can do it. It doesn't have to have climate change or climate alterations and things like that to work on our nature. We need to work on our nature and think about it. Nature can do with or without us. We cannot do without nature, right? So we did have this indicating those methodologies to university students about the erosion pins, about the soil sampling, about any kind of measurements, the awareness, not only for university students, but also for high school students. For any kind of level, putting this effort, we really enjoy that, all this volunteer effort that we can do. It seems sometimes to say, oh, naive, I'm not going to waste my time, but this is actually increasing your skills. It's very important to understand that you don't only you give something, but you take something, you take the experience, you take the joy of that you're doing something really nice and positive. It's really not only to go out there and enjoy nature, but do something about it. Of course, social media is very important. I already post this meeting at the LinkedIn. You can find me, you can see me there. TV is very important, workshops, international conferences. It's really very nice. Using our networking, I use my networking, well, I don't abuse, right? I use the networking to transfer all this knowledge. It's an unbiased information. It's very good to do that. And my time is almost the hour. So nature-based solution means in order to have those sustainable agriculture is very important. This is one of the photos that I really see, and I feel joy. I feel happiness just because of what has been created, what has been structured by just mimicking nature. When this buffering was established at the beginning, and even now, it's really hard because maintaining this buffer is one of the really hard working things to do. A lot of mowing, a lot of flooding in Iowa. It floods a lot of hurricanes, a lot of tornadoes. They have so many tornadoes there. So you would establish there, then you have the tornado, you have the floods. And you have to continue reestablish what you've lost, because you do lose some of the seedlings right there. It does require a lot of extra effort. It does, and if it does, but eventually, as we all can see right here, it pays off. It pays off really nicely. And I'm really happy to be part of this effort as a student. And I hope you guys have also the chance to experience in your lives these huge research projects that they need to be shared. They need to be informed about that. So I'm really very thankful for having me as one of your speakers, sharing this knowledge, and highly appreciate. I am very honored and happy to share all this beautiful information, and I will be more than happy to entertain any kind of questions. More than happy. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. The session was really very inspiring. I mean, like, this really calls for action. Like, this is the kind of presentation that everybody's charged up. And this is needed everywhere, I mean, like, not only in Greece, Europe, or US or wherever, but even in every country.
Exactly.
I'm sure India
Exactly.
also really needs it. There have been a lot of
India.
efforts. I'm talking about India or Southeast Asia or so many other countries. There's a lot of action there's a lot of theory that has to be transformed into action, and we can actually start seeing results. Unfortunately, there's a lot of theory, there's a lot of talk that goes around, there's a lot of activism that goes around. Unfortunately, that doesn't bring results. So, uh, uh, guys, if you are really inspired with this, I think the best learning from this is not your certificate. The best learning from this session is that you start thinking about this. If you want to interact with Dr. Valasia, you can probably reach out to her on LinkedIn. She can easily be found. You can also, she has a great network. You can be part of her network. It would be great that if you could probably have that knowledge dissemination happening. And if you really want to reach out to more work, please reach out to her. This video, this session will be available on our YouTube channel. So you will always have access to her slides and her talk. And also one more thing, I really want to make an appeal to everybody here. Please, if you can actually connect your current education, whether you are in class, in the first year or second year or third year or final year of your education, and if this can be connected with your domain in some way or the other, please find some project and start working on it. Reach out to the concerned authorities who are really responsible for this. Show this video. Probably connect with Dr. Valasia and try to showcase this research, these outcomes to the concerned people. And I'm sure a lot of professors who are seeing this, if we can really come up with something, this is probably they'll still probably be the most useful research, which is obviously called action research. If we can do something like this, that will be awesome. So yeah, thank you so much. And we'll have a quick Q&A now. So, so if you can see, Dr.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Pleasure. If you can see the Q&A and you can pick questions. Can you see Q&A in your toolbar? And I'll probably
in the chat.
No, in the Q&A. There's a Q&A.
Okay. I see.
There are 3 questions. And I'll pick questions from the chat as well.
How sustainable agriculture is beneficial for nature resource management? How sustainable agriculture is beneficial for nature? Of course, it's beneficial. How? These are tough questions, very tough questions. I would really, can they open their microphone so they can give me a little bit more feedback instead of just write? Is this possible?
Yeah, of course they can. So, Rohitash.
So, Nagar.
Ask this, yeah, Rohitash, do you want to?
Yeah,
ask this
Rohitash,
question
yes.
person? Else, so Rahul, there's another participant Rahul, who is raising his hand. We can probably take his question and he can ask in person. Probably
Yes, yes, please.
So I'm allowing Rahul
Yes, please.
to talk. Yeah. Rahul, go ahead, ask a question.
Rahul, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Rahul, do you need more time? Okay. Meanwhile, if there is someone else who wants to ask,
Oh,
Rahul, we can hear
okay.
you. We can't hear you well. God. Rahul, can you speak in English?
ক্লাস করলে একবারে ব্যাংক প্রমোশন করুন তো কিন্তু জানতে টাইপ কোন যাব না
I think he
আল্লাহ
is
আল্লাহ
using
মনে হয়
a
এক্সপ্লেন করতে
mistake.
হোয়াট ইজ
So,
Okay.
no worries. I mean, like, if the people who have asked the question, probably we can just quickly, maybe you can make a quick comment on it. I think we have someone else as well. Neeraj Kumar is there. Let me allow him. Neeraj, I've allowed you a question you can ask. Let me allow.
Okay, there's one that it says, okay,
Okay, so
there's one question right here. Do we
yeah,
have somebody who
Neeraj,
wants to
you can
speak?
take the question. Yeah.
What kind of practices to implement locations of river-based tourism to avoid plastic glass-based pollution? Okay. If I understand well the question, maybe they need solutions that they need, you know, in order to be able to find some solutions for this ecotouristic kind of sites. Maybe that's what they're referring. So what we showed there for the experiment, the litter traps, for those, they are very well, let's say, first of all, this buffering, that they have created them in urban settings, and I had some really nice photos to share with you, but eventually I thought, maybe I shouldn't put it in urban settings. So in urban settings, this buffering is even more important, because at that area, it stabilizes the banks even better. But also, these are the sites that people go very often and visit and relax when you're in the city. I've been in one of the conferences that I've been in South Korea. They've done an amazing job in Seoul, utilizing this kind of activities at the rivers. And they didn't use the litter traps at all. And just by using the riparian buffering at those areas, by using native species at those sites, they created a different atmosphere in the heart of Seoul, which is very heavily populated. And then you could see those people hanging out there, sitting at those areas, having fun and enjoying nature. And it was just in a very heavily populated town. So I think it's even very important to that. And even if you have litter traps, because that's in Greece, we have it in an urban setting, it's a really very interesting, and people, they are very curious to see what this is going on. And even there, we had the poster informing them. So they were very positive about that, very positive about the final outcome. So I don't know if that answered the question. So yes, for tourism, and this thing even implementing and collecting all those plastic things, it's good. It's great. So these litter traps, we put them in urban settings in the city of Drama, because they have a traditional cultural thing. They go once a year, and this year is coming. It's the 4th of December. They have an event where all the kids, they go, and St. Barbara Day, they go and they release small boats that they made them. But all those boats there, most of them, they create them, were trying to get them into the notion of that it needs to be from wood, it needs to be from other means to make those boats. But usually it's from plastic or from cheap kind of non-renewable, not degradable material. So this little trap, it was a savior there. It really grabbed all those boats. It didn't get further. So it really was amazing. So let's see. I see a hand. If you, or we can go to another. Yes,
Augustus, you want to ask?
Augustus.
Okay, thank you so much. More like a question and a contribution, because I followed up your presentation, but you see, most of the discussion were based on mineral soils and mineral environments. But what are the solutions to degradable peatlands, especially peatlands, because this is a major concern right now. A lot of bog peatlands are being contaminated on a daily basis, and there's not much concern on this particular topic as much as they do to other land use. What do you think are solutions to these problems? Peatlands are very important now.
Augustus, you have a very good point here. Peatlands are very important, and most of them, they have been very heavily, brutally utilized by dumping everything there and not maintaining them. And peatlands are number one source of organic material, very important. They're doing a great job up in Scotland. Most of them, they try to dry them out and use them as agricultural lands. But what they saw as a great benefit is actually to let them go back to their peatlands and then have them again take some time and preserve those areas. And they found a great benefit for those ecosystems. They even have them as sites where scientists or ordinary people can go visit and see them. So they also get some extra income from that. So yes, they are heavily polluted, but actions need to take place. Now, what actions? It needs very carefully to study the area. As I said, to any kind of ecosystem, you need to be aware of where it is. As I said, you can find where the polluted hotspot is, and then based on what is the source of pollution, then you can adjust it and place it and really work it to get the best outcome. Sometimes it seems impossible to go back, but nothing is impossible based on the tools that we have nowadays. Everything is possible with patience, well-organized plan, and long-term plan, as they had, like the nature-based solution that I showed in the area of Iowa. As you can see, it took them 40 years, continuous research. How many students passed through there? So if it can't happen from one day to the other, it needs a long time to actually have the positive outcome that we want, if we want, with well-organized plan. I don't know if I answered your question, but it really needs careful management of those areas. And they are, as you said, thank you for pointing that out, very, very important areas, very important areas.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Augustus.
So we'll pick maybe a couple of questions, another 20 minutes of Q&A to go. Cheyenne, you want to ask your question?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
Why agricultural science is so important for us?
That's the question.
Sorry, could you please repeat that?
Why
Why?
agriculture? Why agricultural science is so important for us?
Isn't it a very generic question?
Sorry?
The question is,
Okay, but I didn't hear it.
Why is agricultural science so important for us? It's a very generic question, but
So this is Cheyenne.
yeah,
Did I pronounce it right?
yes, correct.
Yes.
Okay, Cheyenne. Cheyenne, what are you gonna do this afternoon? Tell me. Are you going to eat?
I can't hear you because here is
Are you
some
going to eat?
network problem.
Okay, Shayan, the question is what she's saying.
Agriculture.
Are you going to eat today or not?
Are you going to eat tonight
Yes.
before you sleep?
Yes.
Of
Yes.
course you're going to
Obviously.
eat. Who is not going to eat? Well, we're fortunate that we can eat and sleep. So agricultural science is very important. It's number one for the production. We need to eat. If we don't have agricultural production, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? This is the number one income for all countries, primarily for the locals, and then for anything to export. Agriculture, and to be honest, it wasn't introduced. I'm not an agricultural science. I am a forester. I am an ecologist, okay? But first things come first. Sustainable ecosystems, part of it is agricultural. So if we want to eat, if we want to have it tomorrow, so agricultural is a must. I don't know if I answered your question, but it's very important.
I think it was very well answered. Prithviraj, go ahead.
Good evening, ma'am.
Sorry, can you hear?
Hello.
Hello? Hello?
Good evening, ma'am.
He's saying,
Hello, good evening.
Ma'am, can you please give guidance for becoming JDA posting in agriculture science, ma'am, after finishing the BSc Agri?
I'm sorry, I think the
Prithviraj,
connection is not
this
very
is
well.
this is such a non-contextual question. Do you think, I mean, like, this is something that you should probably be asking somebody who knows about this. This is beyond the scope of her work. And this is actually a question about his career, and this is about a specific thing which can be helped by.
Okay, that's okay. Maybe I can, because
Okay. I don't know. Can you explain what
I
is
didn't hear
JDA?
what he asked.
Can you explain what is JDA, Prithviraj?
Joint Director in Agriculture.
I think it's a very irrelevant question. Doesn't make any sense. See,
I didn't
Prithviraj,
hear.
I think we have very limited time, but what I would suggest is, see, there is a very specific process and route to follow that. I think that's a career aspiration, right? So of course you will have to follow certain trajectory. Probably look at how people who have been on that position, how they have reached there, and I think those are the people who are going to be, those are the right people who are going to help you out with this. But anyways, thank you for participating and thanks for asking this question. I think I have a very
Actually,
yes. Do you want to comment? Dr.
I
Valasia,
didn't
comment?
I didn't hear the question. I didn't hear the question. The connection was really bad, so
I'll tell
I
you,
didn't hear what
he's
he asked.
actually asking about getting on a particular designation in
Okay.
a career in agriculture. Okay. So and that's a specific designation. I mean, like, you want to be a joint director in agriculture. Okay. Which is like, let's say you want to be at a very high position when you actually pursue your agriculture career. So I think the question is, how do I rise in my
Okay.
agriculture career? That's the question.
Well, I can, well, this is, well, I can have my answer. If this is your mean to get at a higher position, then I don't know if your aim is the right, it's not my aim. If you love what you're doing, and even if you don't get to a higher position, I think that's all that matters. Because when you love what you're doing, then you get the best outcome out of it. Getting a higher position, because I got higher positions, I got many of those. This is good. This is great because it gives you the means to be part of great decisions. But to me, this is not the most important thing, is to love initially what you do. And then if it comes, it's okay. If it doesn't, it's okay. If you're still doing what you love.
Wonderful.
So,
Wonderful.
I don't know.
Very well put. So that's what it is, Prithviraj. You just have to. So you have to ensure, make sure that you're not wanting to be a JDA because you just want to be a JDA and probably earn money. You really want to be a JDA because you really want to contribute to this domain and this is your passion. This makes you happy. Anyways, Dr.
I have to tell you one thing. If you're a scientist, you don't get much money. You do. It's good. I mean, I was in the US and things like that, but getting into business and agriculture is a means to get some money. If you're doing it right, you can get some money right there. So, yeah.
Wonderful.
I don't know if it helped with my answer.
I think it did. I'm sure Prithviraj, it helped, right? You're going to just be passionate in what you're doing. Anyways, thanks for asking this question. So I had another question, which I think one student asked. I think this is going to help everybody. So a lot of people, a lot of students are inspired with the talk today. So some of the students have asked the question, like, what kind of project can the student do if he or she is a first year or a second year student, just started her or his agriculture journey? What kind of project should they start doing at that level so that they can actually be contributing and streamlining with what you spoke about today?
Well, what I usually say, because I have both the European experience and the American experience and all this good stuff, I would say first things first. When you're starting your career and you're very anxious to learn all this information, you really need to be patient and get your lessons, get the basics straightened. Know what you want, because this is the first and the second year. They help you decide where you're going to head, where you're going to lean at your future steps. And sometimes the young of the age doesn't let you decide what you really want to do. Sometimes many other factors really affect what you do. Now, in Greece, for example, when I was a student, a university student here, I didn't have the opportunity. They don't give the opportunity to the students because this is how the system is, to get involved into many projects. Only after in the second, third year, you do see a professor that really runs some projects, and then you get involved. This is how it is. Now, in the US, it was a different story. I was a little bit older, got my basic information from Greece, and once I got there, then I knew where I was heading. I got my master's in the urban forestry, so I knew I wanted to work with urban settings. I got then my PhD. I got a double major PhD, which usually is not the case for most of them. So I got into the silviculture and ecophysiology because I wanted to go into the production and biodiversity. I had Dr. Misra in one of my committee members who was the director of the Seed Science Center. So then afterwards, you start building. So US was giving me the opportunity to get involved in projects while also studying, but I was a little bit older. So I would say it's good. Volunteer gives you the first steps and the initiative to get involved into many things. And then afterwards, you get actual hands into the projects once you do know your means. And most of them, you get them from your courses. And right now, the degrees they offer you, sometimes you know how to do the GIS, how to do any kind of statistical analysis, how to do MATLAB or any other kind of programs that they're incorporated, indices, modeling. So you're gonna get lost. It's too much in there. Just take your time for the couple of years, see what you're at, see who professor inspires you. And then usually if you find somebody who inspires you, you're right there.
Wonderful.
That's my advice.
I'm sure it really helps. Really helps. Dr. Jan.
And then get also funded, because she might be interested for funding. Because
Yep.
in the US, I was also paid, right?
Okay.
You're getting involved and
But
you're
that
getting
must be
paid
on
in
the
those projects.
postgraduate level or doctoral level. what were you doing in the
No,
US?
I was even an undergrad. I was even an
Oh.
undergrad there, and then I was getting involved and paid for different projects. It was experience. I was running PCR. I was running. It was. I wanted to see, explore, and I was paying. I was getting paid. And usually this is not
if
the
I
case
missed
in
it,
most of
so
the.
you what were you doing actually in the US? Did you volunteer for a project?
Yes, I worked in different projects.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
As an undergrad, because I was an undergrad in Greece. Then I moved to the US. I had another undergrad degree, and then I did my master's and my
Okay. So you're
PhD.
saying that you actually did an
So
undergraduate program in the US. Correct?
yes,
Okay.
and yes, two undergrad programs. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yep.
Yes,
Yes.
Dr. Jan, go ahead, sir. We don't have.
Yeah. Good evening, sir. How are you?
Good evening, good evening.
Yes. First of all, thank you very much for the Deepavali greetings I got from Tulika and from your team. Thank you very much. And I'm just thankful to ma'am also for the immense knowledge she has shared with us. My many students are also there in this program, ma'am. I'm representing one of college in agriculture sciences in from India. In Uttar Pradesh, is a state, and we have a MOU with Edorer also the last year, and we are participating in many kind of programs which they are offering. And since I mean we have joined them, we become internationalized kind of thing. So Singapore, we have taken some students. And taking this moment not to have any question, but just to thank Saurabh for giving us such a platform to have kind of interactions and all those things. We always look forward. Recently, I was just talking a few days back to Tulika also, like now these days sessions are not going on. So, there are so many programs in line. We are doing it. The previous one was also very nice. So, and I'm looking forward to your this another boot camp in December, sir.
Yes, sir.
And
Sure. We'll talk about it, sir. I don't know.
yeah. So thank you very
We'll
much.
talk
It's
about it and
just to
discuss
share
that.
thanks note. It's nothing much. Just to thank you.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Thanks for participating. Um, Dr. Valasia, do you see we can probably take 2 more questions? Another 6 minutes before we end this session.
Sure.
Do you think
Yes, no problem.
some relevant question that you want to pick?
Oh, somebody's asking, what do you mean of riparian? Well, riparian is a specific term that is used for the land adjacent to rivers or to water body areas. So it's rivers usually, and maybe a lake, sweet water. So these are riparian areas. It usually reflects river part. So that's what it means, riparian. That's why we have the riparian vegetation. And that's why I associated the riparian vegetation in the project with the nature-based solutions, because this is how occurring naturally. We have a specific type of vegetation right next to the rivers. So we have the riparian vegetation that we usually find after the bank of the rivers, and it's adjacent with the presence of the water. So this is one of Suha Mane, the question.
Okay, if we're done, we can probably pick another question. Okay, I think it's a nice question from John. How can ecotourism be scaled up without harming the environment?
How ecotourism is what?
If you look in the chat, there's a question from John. The question is, how can ecotourism be scaled up without harming the environment? Since you are also director of...
Of course you can be. Ecotourism is tricky. Ecotourism is very tricky. Even in Greece, we have some examples that they're very... they have to be very carefully managed in order to sustain. I always say ecotourism, and we can have a talk about this or something, but I'm really happy when I have these talks and informing people. Ecotourism is something very important, something that needs to be practiced very carefully, and something, in order to be carefully practiced, it needs to be by very well-trained personnel, experts, that they are informed about the ecosystem needs, and all the must and don'ts and do's when you're going to implement any kind of, structural practices. So this is the main thing. I always say, that's why I'm also working as a consultant on this kind of this part, because people that they are educated for the ecosystem, they should be part of this huge umbrella of the project of implementing sustainable ecotourism. And we can actually use ecotourism as a tool to educate people. And this is one of the main things that I really emphasize. So I don't know if that answered the question. It can be done very carefully. We're having so many endangered species, so many areas that they need to be very carefully implementing all those really nice ideas that we have. So I don't know. That's my short answer.
Okay, sure. That can help. I think what is important is how you connect ecotourism with the impact it can create, the awareness it can generate. That's so important. Okay, Varshini,
I didn't hear everything. I had a problem with the connection. Maybe it was me, but I didn't hear.
I'm saying, okay, we can take the next question. Varshini,
Yes, sir.
go ahead.
Hello, ma'am. I'm Varshini. And about the examples you took, I mean, the depth of your examples was great. So, and the case study was like literally inspiring, actually. So, a question about the case study of the Black Sea, I had a doubt in it. Like, the regions like Greece, Turkey, and every other region, how much time did it take for them to take this, adapt to this, or permit this solution idea, this nature-based solution idea? Because it takes a lot of time for them to form a union and bring out a decision, like taking a decision for this. So can you just give us like any information regarding like what are the initiating steps that made it come true?
Possible for the project to run?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you, Barsini, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it Barsini? Barsini, thank you very much for your question. Usually, in order to the steps, we tried to create this united protocol in order to preserve those areas. So in order to preserve, we didn't actually go and do any structure or construction to those areas. We studied to see if there are differences, and based on the differences on the land use, we could see that the normal areas where they were mimicking nature, they had the best outcome. That's why we're saying implementing nature-based solutions. Now, when you have these projects, usually you have the idea, they have the calls that it's open, and then you write the proposal, and based on the proposal, you see how you match your needs to actually find the outcomes or the deliverables of this. So it's very, very complicated, very time consuming, very, 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 but then you get the funds and then you end up being able to do all those great efforts. So you end up doing them, you get some funding, and then the funding allows you to implement that. And based on the individual, then it goes through a procedure of evaluation. And if it's well-written, then you take the proposal and then you get funded. Otherwise, it's not possible. It might be possible if the government says, okay, I need an expert and I want this and this to be done. then this is the easier way. And then you can share your ideas, propose, whatever that is. So that was a 3-year project. And that's why I say 3 years is not enough. It's a good start. It's a good start. But according to me, it needs more time. It needs more time. I don't know if I answered your question, if I
Yes,
understood
thank
well,
you so
but
much.
this is the basics. Yes, this is the basics. It's funds that you apply at the EU, and we collaborate with different countries. So we had these countries because the call said, you have to have these countries. So we applied that for the Black Sea area. So the program was the Black Sea program because it was referring to the Black Sea area. And that was really very easy for us because we want to implement that. Recently, I'm involved in a research in a group of scientists of FAO. You know FAO most likely. So we're working to see how to evaluate nature-based solutions. How many projects have worked on this? How it has been done? So it's a lot of work, but it's good. We're getting there. So this is not funded. It's volunteer, and we share our experience as consultants. But it's good information. It's something different that you we're able to participate as well.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thanks, Vashni.
Thank you.
Siddhant, go ahead. Go ahead. This is the last question of the day.
Thank you, sir, for giving me the chance to ask the last question. I am from Adamus University. Ma'am, my question is regarding hyperaccumulation of heavy metals in land. So, ma'am, in these days, we see that there is a lot of arsenic, a lot of cadmium, nickel, and the other heavy metals in soil. So, ma'am, how do you think in urban landscape we can do any measures to remediate the soil?
I don't know if you can. We can try. Usually contaminated soils, they're very hard to get rid of the contaminants. So some of them, they had some very traumatic results. They would use this contaminated soil, they would take it, put it in another area in order to camouflage the negative input. They would put like a playground or even an area for people. So this is really bad because doesn't alleviate, it stays there, and it's very bad for the health of the children or whoever utilizes those areas. I know for sure the plants, they uptake those heavy metals, those pollutants in the wood. And even this wood is it shouldn't be utilized because for firewood, for example, because this fuses and we get it into our system through our breathing process. So it's very hard to clean the soil. We have to be very careful with the contaminated soil. Most likely, if I know, they take this soil and contaminate it and they try to put it aside so people are not be present at that area. So I don't know if I answered to your question. Contaminated soil, it's hard to get rid of the contaminants. So really very careful how to manage those sites. Based on my poor soil knowledge, because I'm not a soil person, but I'm involved in regeneration and things like that for conservation of areas.
Or try to use the adversity to some advantage. I mean, if you have certain kind of contaminants, probably use that soil for those purposes where those contaminants could be useful. There are multiple ways of looking at things. But anyways, I'm sure you got some perspective on what Dr. Valasia spoke about. Thank you so much, Siddharth, for the question. And yeah, thanks for participating. Okay, so we have reached the end of this session. A big thank you, because you can look at a lot of questions, by the way, from the chat we couldn't pick because they were very technical or very generic in nature. And if anybody starts speaking about it, it'll take a lot of minutes. So we are really not picking up those questions. Hope we picked some good questions. But anyways, we had limited time. So big thank you, Dr. Valasia, for enlightening us with such an amazing initiative of yours and your research. Yeah, please.
The thanks are all mine. The thanks are all mine, really, for reaching out for me, for giving me this opportunity. Our schedules are very busy, but when we do this, it's really a pleasure sharing that information. So thank you very much for reaching out for me, and I hope this helped and enlightened the audience and the students. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm very confident about this. So guys, quickly, your certificates will reach you in 2 to 3 business days. So, and it'll come over email. If you want to see the video of this, you have to go to our YouTube channel and you will find the video under Masterclass section. And yeah, so thank you so much, everybody. Thanks for your time. Enjoy your evenings. Everybody enjoy your dinner. And of course, enjoy your evening to Valasia back in Greece. We really look forward to connecting with you and collaborating with you again for one or the other project or initiative.
Pleasure.
We will reach out to you. I'm sure somebody
Have
is
a great
inspired.
evening. Cheers from Greece, the sunny Greece so far. And maybe see you again in the future. Take care. Take good care of yourselves.
We look forward to that. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.